It was a Tuesday evening, 4 days before Valentine's Day. Jake was sitting in his living room, watching the clock tick. Emily sat across from him, hands folded neatly on her lap. Her eyes looked heavy, like she had rehearsed something important. Jake could feel the tension in the air tightening slowly. She took a deep breath and said the words he never expected. "Jake, I think we need a break." The room went silent for a full 10 seconds. Jake blinked, unsure if he heard her correctly. "A break?" he asked calmly, though his heart raced inside. "Yes," she said, avoiding his eyes. "I need time to think about us, about the wedding, about everything." Jake leaned back in his chair, emotionless. His brain was already calculating every possible reason behind it. 4 days before Valentine's Day, and 1 month before their wedding. The timing wasn't just bad, it was deliberate. He remembered her recent behavior, secretive and distant. New clothes she couldn't afford suddenly appeared in her closet. She had started taking her phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. There were nights she claimed to have work events but came home late. Jake had ignored the red flags for weeks. But now, everything started to click in painful clarity. "How long of a break are we talking about?" he asked. Emily shrugged, pretending to look sad. "Maybe a month or two, until I can clear my head." Jake smiled faintly, the kind of smile that hides disbelief. He knew what she really meant. She wanted to test her options. Most men would have begged her to stay. They would have promised to change or cried for answers. Jake wasn't one of those men. He simply nodded and said, "Take all the time you need." Emily's expression froze, like she didn't expect that answer. She looked disappointed that he didn't chase her. "You're not even going to fight for me?" she asked softly. "You said you need space," he replied. "I'm giving you exactly what you asked for." Her lips trembled, and her eyes darted away. Jake stood up, opened the front door, and pointed to her suitcase. It was already packed. She had planned this speech in advance. She gave him a weak smile and whispered, "Thank you for understanding." Then she walked out, closing the door behind her. Jake stood still for a moment, then exhaled slowly. Every trace of emotion vanished from his face. The second her car disappeared, he grabbed his phone. He called Alex, his best friend since college. "Bro, she just asked for a break," Jake said flatly. Alex didn't sound surprised at all. "I told you this was coming," he replied. Jake laughed bitterly. "I know, and now I think it's time to show her who she's dealing with." "Perfect," Alex said. "I'll be at your place tomorrow morning. We're going to fix this." Jake put down the phone and stared out the window. The night was quiet, but his mind was sharp as a blade. The breakup didn't break him, it activated him. He wasn't planning to cry. He was planning a strategy. And by the time Emily realized what she had lost, it would already be far too late. The next morning, Alex showed up at Jake's house with coffee and breakfast. He looked more like a commander than a friend. "All right, man," Alex said with a grin. "What's the plan?" Jake smirked and leaned back in his chair. "If she wants a break, she's getting a real one." Total silence. Alex raised an eyebrow. "You mean blocking her?" Jake shook his head slowly. "No, something better." He opened his laptop and logged into his social media. He started unfollowing Emily on every platform. Then he changed all his privacy settings to public. Alex smiled as he watched the plan unfold. "Good, let her see what she's missing," he said. "But don't let her touch your life again." Jake nodded and started deleting every trace of her online. Old photos, tagged posts, shared comments, gone in seconds. Emily's name disappeared from his digital world. The clean break felt strangely empowering. "Now what?" Alex asked. Jake looked at his phone and grinned. "I had a Valentine's reservation for 2 at Le Jardin downtown." Alex's eyes lit up. "Oh, this just got interesting." Jake nodded. "It cost me $400. I'm not wasting it." Alex leaned forward. Then make it legendary. Jake tilted his head. How? Take your mom, Alex said instantly. Dress sharp, take pictures, make it look like the best night of your life. Jake laughed, but loved the idea immediately. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about power. He called his mom that afternoon. Hey, Mom, I've got a surprise for you on Valentine's Day. She hesitated. Jake, are you sure? Isn't that supposed to be for? Trust me, Mom, you'll love this, he said. Alex clapped his hands together. Perfect, she'll lose her mind. For the next few days, they prepared every detail. Jake detailed his truck, picked out a suit, and cleaned the house. Alex polished his camera lenses like a professional photographer. The plan was simple but cruelly effective. Jake would look happier, freer, and stronger than ever before. No tears, no sadness, just confidence and joy. On Valentine's night, they arrived at the restaurant. Jake wore a charcoal gray suit. His mom looked radiant. Alex's mom, Mrs. Chen, joined too, smiling from ear to ear. The evening felt warm and full of laughter. Alex captured every perfect moment through his camera lens. The photos were stunning. Elegant lighting, real smiles, pure peace. Later that night, Jake posted one of them online. Best Valentine's celebration with the most important women in my life. The caption was calm, classy, and devastatingly clever. Within minutes, the post exploded with reactions. Hundreds of likes, dozens of comments calling him the perfect son. Alex checked Emily's activity from his phone and grinned. She's seen it, he whispered. She's checking your page every minute. Jake leaned back, satisfied. Good, let her wonder what went wrong. As the night ended, he felt lighter than ever before. Emily wanted freedom, and he gave it to her, beautifully packaged. But what she didn't realize yet was simple. The break she asked for wasn't temporary. It was the beginning of her downfall. Jake got home late that night, still smiling from dinner. His phone buzzed nonstop with new notifications. Dozens of messages, mostly from friends praising his post. But buried among them were 47 messages from Emily. The first few were calm and curious. Hey, I saw your post. That's really sweet. Then came confusion. Wait, did you use our reservation? Minutes later, anger. Are you serious, Jake? That was our date. And then, as the night dragged on, pure desperation. Please call me, I can't sleep. I keep thinking about you. Jake read them all in silence, sipping his coffee. Alex, sitting beside him, nearly fell off the couch laughing. Dude, she's spiraling. Look at this one, she's begging already. Jake shook his head and smirked. Didn't take long. At 2:00 a.m. Another message popped up. I love you, Jake. I made a mistake. I want to fix this. By 4:00 a.m., she was still typing. Jake turned off his phone and went to bed peacefully. The next morning, there was loud banging on his door. It was Emily, looking exhausted and panicked. Her hair was messy, her makeup smeared, her eyes swollen. Jake, we need to talk, she said, storming inside. He stayed calm, leaning against the doorway. About what? You said you needed a break, remember? This isn't what I meant, she shouted, voice cracking. I didn't want you to act like we're done. Jake raised an eyebrow. Aren't we? Before she could answer, Alex walked out of the kitchen shirtless. He held a coffee mug and grinned. Oh, hey, Emily, didn't see you there. Emily froze, her mouth hanging open. Why is he here? Why is he half-dressed? Jake smiled faintly. He's been staying over. Support system, you know. Her face turned pale. You moved on already. Jake shrugged. You said you wanted space, I just filled it. Emily clenched her fists, trembling. This is ridiculous, Jake. You're trying to make me jealous. Alex chuckled. Seems to be working pretty well. Shut up, she screamed at him. Jake kept his voice calm. Do you still have doubts about marrying me? She hesitated too long. That was the answer. Get out, he said firmly. Both of you leave. Emily's friend, standing outside, looked mortified. "Girl, you really messed up," she whispered as they walked away. When the door closed, Jake exhaled deeply. The peace that followed was almost satisfying. Alex gave him a proud nod. "You handled that like a pro." Jake laughed softly. "She thought I'd beg, she really did." They spent the rest of the morning reviewing her messages. Jake saved every single one, labeling the folder evidence. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure, power, and dignity. Emily wanted control, but Jake had flipped the script. For the first time, she was the one chasing. And Jake was the one walking away without looking back. Saturday morning arrived quiet and cold. Jake sat at his kitchen table, a fresh cup of coffee in hand. Alex joined him with his laptop open and a serious face. "Time to dig deeper," Alex said. "I think there's more going on." Jake nodded and pulled out a pile of credit card statements. Emily still had a secondary card under his account. He hadn't checked it in months, trusting her completely. Now every transaction looked suspicious. There were charges from restaurants he'd never been to. Steakhouses, wine bars, and trendy brunch spots downtown. All for 2 people, not 1. Then came the beauty salons, spas, and designer stores. Jake's stomach tightened as the total rose past $3,000. "She's been living like a millionaire on your dime," Alex said. Jake scrolled further down the list. There it was, a parking garage near a downtown hotel. The Marriott, the same place where Emily's ex, Ryan, worked. Jake leaned back, eyes narrowing. "She's been seeing him," he said quietly. Alex checked his phone, already pulling up Ryan's social media. Within seconds, the proof appeared. Ryan had posted a story 2 weeks ago. A photo of 2 dinner plates, a bottle of wine, and the caption, "Great catching up with someone special. Some bonds never fade." The date matched one of Emily's charges exactly. Jake's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed calm. "So that's why she wanted a break," he said. "She didn't want space to think. She wanted permission to cheat." Alex closed his laptop slowly. "You know what this means, right?" Jake nodded. "It means I'm done." He stood up and looked around his spotless home. Everything in it, he'd built himself without her. The idea of Emily using his money to date another man felt sickening. But instead of rage, a strange clarity filled him. This was no longer about heartbreak. It was about taking control of what was his. He called the credit card company immediately. "Deactivate the secondary card," he said. "Effective now." The representative asked if it was due to fraud. "You could say that," Jake replied. When the call ended, he felt lighter. He called Alex again that evening. "I'm canceling everything," he said firmly. "The wedding, the venue, the vendors, all of it." Alex grinned. "Burn it all down, my friend." That night, Jake sat at his desk drafting emails. Each message was short and final. He canceled the catering, the photographer, the limousine. It would cost him thousands in penalties, but he didn't care. Money could be earned back. Self-respect couldn't. Before going to bed, Jake scrolled through his old photos again. He saw smiles that now looked staged, moments that felt fake. He deleted them all without hesitation. Then he poured himself a glass of whiskey and looked out the window. Emily thought she could outsmart him. But the game had just changed. And Jake was now playing to win. Monday morning, Jake woke up with a clear mind. He knew exactly what had to be done next. No anger, no hesitation, just execution. He picked up the phone and called the wedding coordinator. "Hi, this is Jake Miller. I need to cancel my wedding." There was silence on the other end. "Oh no, I'm so sorry. May I ask the reason?" Jake replied calmly. "The bride is no longer qualified." The woman stuttered, but confirmed the cancellation. It would cost $12,000 in fees. Jake didn't blink. "Send me the invoice today." He then contacted every other vendor on the list. The caterer, the florist, the photographer, the live band. All canceled within 2 hours. $21,000 gone. But Jake felt like he had just bought his freedom. Next, he logged into the shared honeymoon account. They had been saving for a trip to Europe. He had contributed every month. She had contributed nothing. $7,200 sat untouched. Jake transferred all of it to his personal account. He already knew exactly what he would do with it. That afternoon, he drove to the local car dealership. His mom still owed payments on her small sedan. Jake walked in and asked to pay off her entire loan. The clerk smiled in disbelief. All of it. Every cent, Jake said, sliding his card across the counter. He left with the title document in his hand and tears in his eyes. That night, he posted a photo of it online. Caption: "Surprise for the woman who gave me everything. Some people are worth every investment." Within an hour, the post exploded with love and praise. His mom called crying, unable to stop thanking him. Alex texted him, "Dude, this is pure art." Jake smiled, knowing exactly who else would see it. Emily, sitting somewhere in regret, scrolling through his page. Sure enough, messages started flooding in from her again. "You're wasting our money," she wrote angrily. Jake laughed out loud. "Our money," he whispered. She had contributed nothing but drama and debt. Later that week, karma struck harder than he imagined. Emily's boss called Jake, asking if everything was okay. She had listed Jake as her emergency contact. The man sounded concerned about her poor work performance. Jake saw the perfect opportunity. "She's been going through a breakup," he said calmly. "Things didn't end well. She might not be in a good place." The boss thanked him for his honesty. 3 days later, Emily was fired for constant lateness and distraction. She called Jake in tears, begging for help. "I can't pay my rent. Please, just one more chance." Jake stayed silent for a moment. "You made your choices, Emily. Now live with them." He hung up without another word. That night, he sat by the window, feeling a peace he hadn't felt in months. He didn't just take back his money. He took back his power. And he wasn't planning to give it away ever again. Sunday evening, the doorbell rang again. Jake opened it to find Emily standing outside, trembling. This time she wasn't alone. Her parents were with her. Her father looked ashamed, but her mother looked furious. "Jake," her mother said sharply, "we need to talk about forgiveness." Jake leaned against the doorframe, calm and unmoved. "Forgiveness for what exactly?" he asked quietly. Emily's mother crossed her arms. "Everyone makes mistakes, young man. You don't throw away love over one bad decision." Jake laughed softly. "Your daughter didn't make one bad decision. She made a series of calculated ones." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "Please, Jake, I just need help. I lost my job. I have nowhere else to go." Jake's voice stayed steady. "You should have thought of that sooner." Her father finally spoke, his tone low and tired. "Son, she regrets everything. She's learned her lesson." Jake looked straight into Emily's eyes. "Do you still talk to Ryan?" he asked coldly. She hesitated just a second too long. That pause was all the confirmation Jake needed. "Get off my property," he said firmly. "All of you." Her mother gasped. "How dare you speak to us like that?" Jake stepped forward, unbothered. "How dare she use me like that?" Her father grabbed his wife's arm and pulled her away. Emily turned back one last time, whispering, "Please, Jake." The door shut before she could finish her sentence. Jake stood there for a moment, breathing in the silence. It was finally over, completely and permanently. 2 days later, Alex called with news. "Dude, you're not gonna believe this," he said, laughing. "Check Ryan's social media right now." Jake opened the app and froze at the post. Ryan had written, "Some people don't take a hint. Stop showing up at my job crying. It's pathetic." Attached was a photo of the restaurant where he worked. Jake couldn't help but laugh out loud. Karma had arrived right on schedule. Emily had tried to get Ryan back, only to be humiliated publicly. She had lost both men, her job, and her reputation. Jake poured himself another cup of coffee, smiling. The world has a strange way of balancing itself. Later that week, a mutual friend told him more. Emily had moved back home with her parents in Ohio. She was working minimum wage at a grocery store. Ryan had been fired too, after several complaints at work. He'd gone back to his hometown, broke and directionless. Jake listened and nodded quietly. He felt no anger, no satisfaction, just closure. He had played his part, and the universe finished the rest. That night, he sat on his porch, the sky calm above him. He thought about everything he had lost, and everything he had gained. Peace, respect, and freedom, all priceless things. He sent a short message to Alex. Mission accomplished. Alex replied instantly. Told you, man. Karma always collects. Jake smiled, leaned back, and finally let himself rest. The storm had passed, and he had won not with revenge, but with dignity, patience, and perfect timing. Months passed, and life slowly settled into quiet peace. Jake focused on his work, his health, and his family. He started traveling again, exploring places he had postponed for years. His mother often joined him, smiling brighter than ever before. Alex remained his closest ally, still joking about Operation Closure. Sometimes, late at night, Jake thought about Emily. Not with anger, not with regret, just distant curiosity. She had become a lesson, not a memory he missed. Love without respect was never love at all. He finally understood that truth completely. Jake no longer needed revenge or validation. His silence had been the loudest victory. He had rebuilt his life, stronger and lighter than before. Every sunrise reminded him that peace was earned. Every laugh with his friends reminded him that loyalty mattered. He had lost a fiancée, but gained himself back. And that, he realized, was the best trade he could ever make. The past no longer hurt, it simply existed. Jake smiled at the thought and whispered to himself softly. Sometimes, the best revenge is just moving on.